You know, I've been sizing up guys since I came to WCW.
You know, I've always been a jam-up guy. You're a jam-up guy. You know, I've always been a jam-up guy.
It never gets old. At the same time, I can't wait for the 15-second version.
It is kind of long, isn't it?
It is, but it's rocking. And it came from the brief blood, sweat, and tears of, I don't know who made it, but we appreciate him, so we use it.
Yes.
Welcome to another episode of Jam Up, guys. I am Cameron. I am hosting today because Rick is not here. Well, the Rick is here. Tall Rick is here. And Cody's here, but Short Rick is not here.
Short Rick?
He hates. He's like, why do I got to be short? He hates when I call him that. Anyhow, I don't know. It feels like not so much has really happened in the wrestling news lately. The most recent thing seems to be Matt Hardy getting into it with Brian Last, but of course the wrestling journalism said that he got into it with Cornette, even though Cornette went to bed.
Yeah, but he went to bed halfway through. Or actually, he just like fired a few shots, and then Brian Last took over. Right,
but you know, SEO and Google Analytics and all that, Cornette gets more clicks than Brian, so so that's who they said. But we're gonna spend a few minutes talking about Matt Hardy. So about that Twitter exchange, like, what do you guys think about that?
I just think Matt's trying to keep himself relevant at this point, trying to get his name out there. I mean, with Jeff out again, like, Matt's always just kind of like rode Jeff's coattails, other than that like brief minute and impact he had when he first went broken. So I just think it's a low news cycle. There's like little to no Vince news going on. Punk's back and everything's fine on Collision, so he's just trying to grab a headline or two while there's nothing else going on, I think.
I did think it was a little weird that it happened when around the time Jim and Brian were actually taking I don't know if you guys know this, but he was taking a week break, like just a break for a week, and then all this stuff kind of fired off. I don't know if it's like if it's a conspiracy, like Jesse Ventura might say, or if it was just, you know, when the cat's away, the mice will play type situation where he just kind of fired off this like Matt just started saying that like Jim Cornette hate watches, which was like kind of ridiculous because I don't think Cornette even really wants to watch it.
I mean, he definitely. I always bring up where he stopped watching for like 3 weeks, and then like fan demand brought him back onto it, and they lost, like, their ratings dropped like 200,000.
That was
like the first week it was like the same, and he was like, I'm not watching it. I said I wasn't watching it. I meant it. And then the second week it dropped, and then he was like, I'm still not watching it. And then the third week it dropped more, but then we were just like, watch it. You need to see it.
Yeah, you got to see this stuff.
And then he came back, and then it went back up like the week after, because he watched. It's like, I watched this one, and then so in the fourth or fifth week it went back up to his usual number. So I don't know, but
I mean, it proves that he carries a lot of the AEW audience, you know, because I mean, yeah. I don't hate watch. I loved AEW when it first started, but you know, you got to call a spade a spade. Like, after a while, you kind of look at it and you're like, all right, that was kind of stupid. All right, that was kind of stupid. All right, that was kind of stupid. And then all of a sudden, you just watched a circus act.
I mean, the fact that we're doing this podcast now at this time while Blood and Guts is going on tells you how bad it's fallen at this point.
Yeah. Come on.
That's like one of their like yearly matches, and I'm sure there will be highlights if Eddie Kingston does a run-in of him like weak kendo shotting people again.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's going to get like 8,500 stars or whatever. It's going to be over 9,000.
that rating system is just it's so bunk at this point. I don't even pay attention to it.
But yeah, just to kind of put you in a time frame for this episode, we're actually recording this while Dynamite is on, and tonight is the night of Blood and Guts. Just to kind of put you there with us.
Well,
so it's a little dated for like the Matt Hardy stuff, but I really, I got excited when we said we were going to do a Matt Hardy episode because he kind of went after us. He kind of went after the fans that, and I don't consider it hate watching if I just saw something that he did and I thought it was stupid. If Cameron watched it and was like, that was badass, and I watched it and I was like, are you kidding me? I thought that was ridiculous. Doesn't mean I'm a hate watcher. It just means two different opinions.
Well, we're talking about Matt Hardy because basically I don't have the curriculum, and since I'm the substitute teacher, we're just going to do something. But, all right, so I guess, shoot, it might be, is that the end of that? Because, I mean, I read some of the tweets. I mean, they're pretty spicy, but at the same time... At the same time, we kind of saw this before when it was Matt and Rebby Hardy and they were going against Jim. So on the one hand, it was exciting because it was in the middle of the night and it was just like, oh shit, things are happening. But at the same time, it was kind of like Back to the Future. Hey, I've seen this one.
it wasn't even as exciting as when Matt's Twitter got hacked like 2 months ago. That was
wild.
So that's what it is. Like Matt, we don't miss Matt because he hasn't gone away,
right?
But I mean, Matt definitely he catches a lot of heat of being like the least famous Hardy and just basically like, oh, without Jeff you'd be nothing. But I mean I like Jeff more, but I definitely don't feel like Matt is just completely useless without Jeff. I do like everyone. Well, most recently, I guess, was the broken Matt Hardy. I mean, V1 was a little bit fun for a while, especially with like his Matt facts or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I love the Matt facts.
Yeah.
Matt enjoys scalloped potatoes. That was always my favorite one.
But yeah, just like having. And then when Matt came as, I guess, Woken because they couldn't do Broken and Jeff hadn't returned yet, like Matt is a legend, and they'll be if they're not already in the Hall of Fame, they'll be in there one day. So he definitely like during those Edge and Christian, Dudley Boy, Hardy Boy days. So he's definitely earned praise, but it's just I feel like his singles run clock is a lot shorter than Jeff's.
Yeah.
So he has value and has purpose, but like you can bring in Jeff and he can just be a single the whole time without Matt. But if you bring in Matt, like after about a year, maybe 7 to 15 months, it's like either, okay, where is Jeff? Or he ends up with Bray Wyatt that one time. So he's going to end up in a tag team eventually, whereas Jeff can be a single and doesn't need to be in a tag team.
Well, and then there's the question of with that is that does that make Matt the ultimate other guy?
It's still Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like Jannetty and then Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's still kind of like below Jannetty.
Or is he just like amazing at tag team wrestling? I think he's got a great mind for like making spots and doing all that stuff. Like they didn't become the Hardys with just Jeff pulling all the weight. Like Jeff was just a little bit more eccentric than Matt, and I don't know. It's you're always going to be drawn to one more than the other, just period. You look at Biker Mice from Mars, you're going to have your favorite rat. So but he's always in that position because he excels at that position better than anybody.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like Jim, before they got into it the first time, like that was what he praised him for. He was like, Jeff is the kind of show-offy, flashy guy, and then he was like, Matt has the mind for the business, and then that's why they work so well together. Which is why he was like, and that's why I'm confused that Matt is saying this shit that he's saying.
Right.
So even if he's the more grounded of the two, or the more thoughtful member of any tag teams that he's in, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just goes to show that he does have a purpose. But it's just he like I'm trying to think how many of the other former WWE people. Well, I mean, I guess everybody's former WWE at this point, but like,
I think we're former AEW or WWE at this point.
well, no, I mean, I guess
That's
because
probably
it's
the
just the only people that have, I guess, are at that point in their career that really praise what they do there is Jericho and Matt. Everyone else is kind of either quiet, or in the case of like the Punk stuff, because they had an out, they said how they really felt or whatever, because they didn't need the job. So like Chris and Matt are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head. There might be more of like the people that are known for their WWE time that just really praise everything that goes on in AEW. And it's especially interesting for Matt because they've nearly killed him at least twice.
Oh, yeah. The dude's taking more shots to the head than Shaq in a bouncy house, man.
Yeah,
like,
that's surprising to me that like Matt's even doing those spots now, because like back in the day we used to call him second rope Hardy. Like Matt would never go above the second rope. All of his stuff was based off second rope moves.
Yeah,
they always left the top rope for Jeff. Even when Jeff wasn't around, he would still, like during the V1 and V2 days, all of his stuff was off second rope.
Yeah,
and like that's always been like in my book a knock against him, because it's just like you kind of know where it's going all the time with him. He's a really good like meat and potatoes wrestler. He has really great psychology and can tell a story, but it just takes so long for him to get there. And there's never like a third gear with him. There's like the initial gear, he'll hit a good second gear, and then it just kind of stays at second gear for a long time, and then the match ends. There was never like when he was with Jeff, and they were doing the ladder match series against Edge and Christian, and even back when they were against Eminem back in the day before Joey Mercury had his accident, he was still like the least entertaining guy in all of those tag teams.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so he's the glue.
Right.
It's very necessary and a very integral part, but not the one that gets all the autograph signings.
Right.
I guess no, that's a mean way to put it. Basically, it's like he's the guy that feeds Kobe the ball.
He's Horace Grant. He's feeding Jordan every game.
Yeah. So like he's just as important, but he's not getting the
right.
The ladies aren't freaking out about it.
Right.
I don't know. I think ladies might have been freaking out about Horace Grant.
I mean, Horace Grant. Yeah, I mean that dude's a stud. But
yeah,
those goggles. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. At my age, that's the only reason I know who Horace Grant is, because he had those big.
Yeah.
You have to have a gimmick, and that's work for Becky Lynch. Work for Horace Grant. Get you a pair of goggles.
Goggles.
Did Jericho propose that to her?
He would probably say he did.
Yeah,
I think
if it got over, he'll say he did.
Yeah, him and Hogan were hanging out one night at the beach house.
I don't know. I could be wrong about it. I feel like she was like, if you get something, because I think he had the list. So he's like, if you get something that sells a bunch of merch, then you'll make more money that way.
Right.
But I digress.
Probably. But yeah, everyone talks about the ladder matches like they're iconic. No one. I mean, the ladder matches, Shawn Michaels and the Hardys and Edge and Christian put those types of matches on the map. The reason the Young Bucks still try to do those types of matches is they're doing the groundwork that Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy laid out.
Right.
So like that can't be taken away. But I can't for the life of me think of that one match that blew me away that was between so-and-so and Matt Hardy.
No.
I mean,
how was
except for Edge?
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I guess I'll resituate on that one. Outside of his girlfriend cheating on him. I don't know if he's ever been in a really good storyline.
No, and I mean even that match of him versus Edge, it didn't deliver at the level that the storyline was delivering.
Mm-hmm.
Because Edge, went way over in that match, and Matt was still second gear, middle rope, Matt Hardy. I mean, he was never more over than that period when he was running in, yelling "Ring of Honor" on WWE TV.
Yeah, calling him by his actual name, not his name.
Right.
It just made it believable. So yeah, I mean, and who can't relate to like beating the crap out of the guy who stole your girl,
Yeah.
Except for he didn't, because Edge beat the crap out of him.
Oh yeah. He got his win later, but I think he lost the big one, and no one cared anymore.
Yeah.
That's that sounds like what WWE would do.
That's a WWE move right there.
Well, I mean, Edge was kind of carrying one of their main programs at that point,
right?
so
But then
I kind of understand that.
Well, in that
he was
case,
kind of carrying that whole thing.
But didn't
I don't think he was carrying all of it, but I mean, they still had Angle at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, out of all of that, Edge was the one that kind of got out, because he was like, he got nuclear heat after that.
Yeah.
Like, people hated his guts. They had a show. I live in Oklahoma, and they had a show here around that time, and Edge was like escaping through the audience at this point. Dude, bad move. Some guy just reached over and just cold cocked him. Edge is what, like 6'4"? This little Smurf just like walked up and just wham, just right in the back of the head. Security takes him down, and like that was it. Like and that's the stuff wrestlers used to dream about. You come outside and have your tires slashed. You're like, hey, they really hate me. Awesome.
I don't know if they were just like, yay, while their tires are sitting there cut up.
Actual story from Mick Foley. That's a Mick Foley story. He came out, his tires were slashed, and everyone was like, awesome, hell yeah, dude, your tires are slashed. He was like, what? How am I going to get to the next town?
Yeah, I mean, rite of passage the first time. After that, never again. Like, yeah, I've made it. They've vandalized my stuff, and now...
Yes.
Now can we not do this anymore, because I got places to be. All right, so I guess we should go on and wrap this up. Shoot. His
work in WWE was amazing. Like, since he, like, the real quick, I just want to say, like, just continue singing his praises. When after V1, there was like nothing for him. And then when he did the broken Matt Hardy, I watched the whole thing. You can find it on YouTube, like the entire sequence of events. And it's really fun to watch him like delve into this character, because it's a character that there's no way this character is going to work. And somehow he made it work. Like it got over. People were in love with it. People still say delete. He can still get over the little, swipe of his finger thing. He always swipes left. Matt Hardy only swipes left. So he got that over.
That got over. I mean, I remember being into that when Impact was happening, and I remember it like getting over with all my friends because of all the insider references. Like when they had the big tag team turmoil on the Hardy property, and they literally buried the Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes a Triple H comment, the triple of H's with the golden shovel.
Right.
Yeah, like that stuff was hilarious, and I mean it's good, but again, back to the original thing, the shelf life on that is so limited. It's like he can only sustain it for so long, and then what happened? Oh, Brother Nero came back, and now Jeff is the spotlight turned into 48 other characters. Some dude with a weed whacker, he was Willow for 5 weeks, and Matt is now like supporting that Jeff spectacle again.
He supported that whole spectacle of Willow. And Willow was his imaginary friend.
Yeah.
This guy brought his imaginary friend in as a wrestler, and it got more over.
Yeah.
Definitely the broken time, that definitely was a bit transcendent for him because I heard about it, or read about it, and saw all the stuff about it, and I was not internet wrestling community yet. Like I was watching weekly at that point, but I wasn't everything that happens. I knew about it, and I had heard about that, and it was just like, oh, Matt Hardy, cool. Because even then, like, I guess I knew more about Jeff then, but I definitely, any game that doesn't have both of them, it's just like you don't even need one. Because I think, what is it, before they brought back the GM mode in 22 and 23, like I think 07 GM mode has Matt, and then 08 has Jeff. And then so it's just like you have to create the other one, and it's just like, well, that fucking kills the but like tag teaming in general in 07 is pretty like, I guess, because of how many people they could fit on a game back then.
Yeah.
But then like all the titles were kind of somewhat semi-mandatory, so it was like you have to make a tag team champion, but like there are no tag teams in the game. So yeah,
that's probably a Vince thing. He was like, no, we're not having any tag teams.
So yeah, he's definitely something of a Luigi, but I love Luigi, and so I love Matt too. So
yeah,
that's a good way. That's a good way to like summarize like Matt's career. He's been Luigi. He's had a couple of little spotlights, but 90% of the time he's always that like guy that's kind of supporting the bigger guy.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion and New Luigi Brothers.
Yeah,
he
didn't get over by himself until he started haunting his own house and like getting all the ghosts out of it.
Right.
All right. Well, so that's Matt Hardy. I'm sure we'll be talking about him again in the next year or so.
And if you want to know anything about his AEW run, just imagine your favorite Three Stooges episode and put long hair in it, and that's pretty much what Matt has been.
It's still pretty much the same first storyline he was in when AEW started. It's still going, like they still haven't resolved the Matt Hardy Enterprises storyline. It's still just like adding and subtracting people to the story as they need to get somebody a spotlight for a week, and then 2 weeks later it's completely different people.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It's just for something for him to do. Like he's just walking around with papers at one point, and I'm Big Money Matt now. I have papers for you to sign. And then I'm no longer a Big Money Matt. Now I'm, just waiting for my brother to get back, and then my brother
cashing that check till Jeff shows up.
It might bounce. Let Jeff get here for a couple weeks first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's call that in. So. Yeah, so that's I had started the outro and then Cody went again. That's what happened. I'm like, how did we get here?
Sorry. There was just more I felt to talk about with Matt.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fine. But yeah, so to hear us, talk about wrestling news as it happens, or talk about doing, check out our WTFs and other things on the Jam Up Guys channel. Hit that like and subscribe button with the haluva kick. I remember to add a move.
Give it a twist to fade off the second row.
Give it a twist to fade off the second row.
Swanton bomb, that like button, twist to fade that subscribe button, and then I don't know. All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode of Jam Up Guys.
Feel power, feel the power of love. Feel the power of love. Feel the power of love.